Hi there, my name's Vince from mymatevince.com, and in this video today it's another trying to fix video. Right now I'm not sure what is in this box, so it's not going to be a surprise for you because you've already read the title of the video, but it is a surprise for me. Okay, yeah, excellent. Right, I have got an Xbox 360. This one says core system. Really don't know much about the 360 whatsoever. I believe that this is one of the earlier models, and I'll show you the eBay listing in a minute, but it said something about a flashing light. So, not even sure what you get with it. Right, it looks like it is just the console itself. Oh no, there's more, there's more. Right, okay, I've got a set of leads. Looks like they're component leads, aren't they? Okay. And a manual. Right, let's have a look at this. Some of them had like a hard drive that you used to have to stick on the side of them. And I bet this is one of them. Right, okay. So we haven't got any power supply. Now I have got another box of broken consoles that I've never ever opened, and I've had it for probably around 10 months, and I believe that had Xbox 360s in there, so I'm hoping one of the power supplies will fit, because otherwise I'm not going to be able to test this. Let me show you the listing, and then also I need to try and find a power supply for this. Okay, found a couple of power leads. I'll talk about them in a minute, but if you have a look here, this is a listing, so I paid $12.99 for it. Now, obviously this is not worth $12.99. Essentially, this is worthless. I can buy a working Xbox 360 with the power supply and with a controller for £30, and that comes with a 2-year guarantee. So, most of this cost here would be made up on the postage, eBay and PayPal fees. But remember, I'm not doing this to turn a profit. I'm doing this because I'm thinking it might be an interesting one. Also, some of you might have Xbox 360s at home that may be getting faulty, or there might be a fault on it, and you might want to get them working again. So, although essentially it's worthless, I still think the video could be interesting. Now, it just says here, faulty. The console powers, but the unit just flashes green and the disc tray just opens and closes. So yeah, it might be a problem with just the disc side of things. Now if you have a look back here, that's the shape of the adapter here, and basically it says, can you see that there? There we go. And it says here that it's 12 volts DC, 12.1 amps. Now both of these ones fit here, but this is the lower one, so it won't make a difference, both will work, but it says here 12 volts 14.2, I believe the other one is 12 volts at 16, so this is probably for a later one that maybe needed more power or something like that, or maybe an earlier one, I really don't know. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go with the adapter, the 14 amp one, but as I say, it wouldn't make a difference because it's not a problem to have more. It's just that the Xbox isn't going to require more. It just means that the power supply is capable of doing that. Now let me just show you what they are actually worth. So I've got the CEX website here, and if you have a look here, they start at £30, so they're very cheap. Alright, that one comes with, that's not a HDMI one, and the one I've got down here is HDMI, but even if you look down here, the HDMI ones start at, so there you go, wired pad, HDMI, £40. Yes, it's a discounted one, but this isn't exactly in perfect condition anyway. Yeah, it's a bit grubby. So let's get my TV down, and I think I'm going to power it up, and let's see exactly what happens with it. Okay, so I've got the power cable in. It's gone to amber here, so I'm ready to turn it on now. So I've got a controller here. Let's just pop a controller into it, and let's see what happens. So here we go. It's flashing green. That comes out. Okay, we've definitely got a picture up there. Right, so let's see if we go. Oh, I've got a game as well. FIFA 16. Right, okay. So what's happening is, this does go back in, but then it doesn't start to spin, it just comes straight out again. So I think, straight away, what I'm suspecting is the eject button. I think the console thinks that the eject button is constantly pressed. So you're not going in at all now. Let's put it in. There you go, you see, look. That's what I think the problem is. I bet you there's some issue with the eject button. Right, let's turn it off and take it apart and let's see what's happening with it. Might as well take the disc out. I can leave that tray out actually. Just before I take it apart, let's just have a little look in here just to see how dirty. Oh wow, it's filthy. Okay, let me get the camera right in there and show you. It might just need a clean. Let's try to get the light shining in there. Can you see all in there? I was going to say, should I just hoover it and try to clean it? But I've never opened up one of these before, so I think I'd quite like to see the inside anyway. So let's take it apart and see what it looks like. There we go. Wow, there's some serious dirt in there. Look at that. It's almost blocked up. Okay, so that's that. There's no screws there, annoyingly, but it does look like this thing here comes off the front. Oh, here we go. Oh, there we go. Right, okay. That's that bit there. So now we've got some clip things here, so maybe the whole top just levers off. Let's see. Oh, this is the security seal. There you go, so this hasn't been taken apart before, which is good. Makes me kind of sort of hate breaking this, because I could just clean around this switch here, get rid of all this dust, and it might start working again. But it seems a shame to ruin the seal, but you know, I do want to see the inside of it, so. Here we go. Right, so it's definitely this side thing here which is keeping it in. Oh, just sort of yanks out. There we go. Right, okay. Very, very, very dusty. I think before I do any more, I think I'm going to get the hoover and I'm going to clean it out. It looks like I broke one of the tabs when I took it apart there. Right, so it does definitely come apart from the bottom and not the top. Let me get the hoover. Okay, so that is much, much cleaner now. If you look at the vents there, you can see it's much better. Now, when it comes to hoovering, I've been told numerous times in my videos, do not hoover, it can cause static and you can damage the chips, blah, 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 blah. And then as many people say, there's no problem to hoover, stop spreading false information. So basically, I don't know whether you should or shouldn't hoover. The way I look at it is $12.99. If I was to fry something, it's not going to be the end of the world for me. But obviously you do it at your own risk. I don't know whether you should or shouldn't be doing it. Right, so now the eject button's here. So look, that presses in here. So this is all moving nice and freely. There's definitely no, it's not sticky at all. But I think I need to get into this bit here to see what's causing. Because obviously whatever this is pressing is staying on, and it could just be as simple as a dirty switch because there's an awful lot of dirt here, or it might be something more sinister to do with the circuit board leading up to that switch. But I think I need to work out now how to take it all apart, which I presume I've got to undo these ones here. Maybe I undo the silver ones. Yeah, I bet it's the silver ones that go all the way through to the top body, and that should start to give me access then. But just because it's old and cheap, it doesn't mean it's not well made. I mean, like, looking at this now, it just looks nice, and I can see the X clamps here and stuff, so it must be one CPU and one GPU. It looks like it's coming apart. Right, that goes there. Is this just going to lift off? Yes, it is. Ah, here we go. Now we have access in here. Again, look at all the dirt here. And, whoa, it's full. The inside's absolutely full. Doesn't really come across in there. Doesn't really come across very well on the camera, but there you go. Hopefully you can see that now. Right, okay, hoover time again. So obviously this would be a little bit more dodgy than just hoovering the outside, because now I'm actually going onto the circuit board. Look at that. It still looks like it's really nicely made, although it's old now. I'm so glad I took it apart, just to be able to see this. I can't get the hoover right in here, so I'm going to use a feather duster, which again will have a huge amount of static in it. So it's like I'm actually trying to damage this, maybe for a future trying to fix video. If I can take out this drive and see what's happening. Is it going to come out? Yes, it is. Right, so we've got two connectors there and here. Again, I can clean that now. Look, you can see the dirt where the fan's been sucking the air. Look, through these fins. Oh, there's a load more fins here. So I can clean all that now as well. See the little button just here? And that's just a little micro switch, so we could clean that with IPA. As well as that, we need to actually look. Do I need to look in here? Possibly, because when this goes in, it might not be recognising that it's going in, because the button is working, isn't it? Because when we press the button, it works, but yet when this goes in, it's still flashing. So maybe the Xbox thinks that this is still open, when in fact it's not. So I've seen before where there's like micro switches at the end of the travel, so there might be a couple of switches like down here to recognise that when this gets pushed in. So it looks like we do need to take this apart as well. Let's give this a clean down here. Just wondering if there's a way I can just pop the fans out, save me having to try to get like a cotton bud in there, Q-tip to give it all a clean. Now, isn't that much easier? Do you know what I like about this? It's just that I know it's kind of old now. I should have been looking at these years ago, which I wasn't. But it's nice that all these things are just so easily replaceable. I mean, look at that. If your fan motor's died or were noisy or whatever, how easy is that to change out? Right, okay, I know I've gone a bit off track here with the cleaning rather than the fixing, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some IPA because I want to clean up this little micro switch down here. You can see it's still covered in dust. Just in case it's making a bad contact here, this one here, because this is what this funny little gadget here, when you press the button, can you see? You press the button here and this little pin goes through and it presses the inside switch here. Like that. I mean, I can definitely feel it clicking. I'm going to give this a good clean with IPA just in case the fault's there. While I'm there with the IPA and the cotton bud, I'm just going to clean up the remainder of these fans here. And then I'm going to take apart this because I can see this is full of dust in here, so it needs to be cleaned out. And again, I want to see the switches in here. This is what I'm using. So I'm just flooding alcohol down into the switch and repeatedly pressing the button. The fan's lovely and clean now, and the micro switch has been flooded with alcohol, so hopefully it will be okay. Let's pop this open now and see if we can find out what's going on in here. Yeah, again, nice build up of dust in here, which can easily be cleaned. So I'm looking for switches somewhere. So when this goes in, there should be switches at the back here to tell it when to stop moving, or to tell it that it's moved, you know, that it's gone back in. So there's something that releases it. You can see how easy it would be to change if it was slipping as well. You see that little belt there? So again, that would be an easy fix to change that one over if you found that your disc tray wasn't coming out, if it was just motor spinning but disc not moving out. Right, okay, again I'm going to clean it to begin with anyway because it's horrible, and then I'll look for it. I'll have to grease this up as well because it's looking quite dry. Try to find these switches now. Right, I can't see anything here, so let's try to see if we can take this out, see if there's any release for it. Oh, here we go, look. There's 2 wires going here, and there's 2 wires going here, so there's going to be switches under here somewhere. Right, I need to try to remove this tray. So these look like they're to stop, this one here, so if I lift that up, maybe it will come out. Yeah, there we go, that's out. So there must be something similar over here somewhere. There you go, I can see the switch there. See this thing here? Right, why is this side not coming out over here? Oh, it's this thing here that's keeping it in place. This moves over this thing. Oh, here we go. Just a bit of brute strength, got that out. Right, well now it has uncovered the switches here. So I think what's happened is, I bet you these have just got full of dirt, and when it closes, I mean I can see a huge lump just here. Huge lump of dust. Maybe if that bit, I'm not saying it is, but maybe if that bit went in between there, that would be what would cause the problem. And again, it's just all dusty around here. I think it's to do with those switches. Mind you, we should be able to test that from here, shouldn't we? Thing is, I've disturbed it now, you see. I should have tested that at the beginning and then I would have known. Even by me just kind of moving it around like this, I might have disturbed it. But let's pop the tray back in, and I'm going to go onto those wires at the back. And then, because it'd be nice to actually witness the fault before and after. Oops. I got this in the wrong way, no?
Right, so now it's closed, we should have, I presume, a short across these ones here. So let's get the multimeter. It's set to continuity. So when we go across the two yellows, right, so that's not shorting. I don't know whether it should do or not. And that's not shorting. But maybe when we open it up, they do short. Maybe that's the problem. Right, so now let's see if it's different now that it's open. No. Oh, hold on. I'm getting a reading there. No. Oh look, okay. So when it closes, watch what happens here. Can you see this moves across and it closes the contacts. So if they're not closing, and what happens over here? Does this one open the contacts? Yeah, look, there you go. Look, that one there. So I suppose when it's open, these ones are shut and these ones are open. And then when the disc tray is closed, these ones are shut and these ones are open. So there should be a difference in between the two. Let's go on to these two now, and it should be open, which it is. Now let's bring it all the way across, and this should be closed, which it now is. Listen. Okay, so when that's there, it's open, and then when it goes across, to there, it shorts. Okay, so this should be open, and then when this goes all the way across to there, it should be closed, which it is. Right, I'm going to clean it all up and then try to get those readings again. Ever so slightly with just a dry cotton bud, just in case there's any dust on that. There we go. Right, now I'm going to do these switches here. Not going to bend them round too much. The very fact of hoovering it's probably just cleaned them anyway. That's all cleaned up. Now what I'm going to do is use a little bit of this grease here on the track along here, and also I'm just going to put a little bit where this moves across here. I can see that there's a big, when I've wet it now across here, it's getting a load of dirt up here that I didn't see before. Look at that. See, things like that can cause the problem. There. Minimal amount there because I'm worried that, you see, that grease could then flick up and go onto the catch. So I'm just going to spread it around that bit there. I don't want it to flick up and go in between here, you see, and then it's going to cause the problem again. Right, so that's basically greased up here, greased up down here, switch clean, switch clean. I'm going to put this back together and then see if it's measuring the short when we push the tray in and out. And remember, we've cleaned up a little micro switch as well that this thing presses onto. So maybe between all those things, it will now mean that it's going to work. There we go. Right, now, do you remember before it wasn't doing anything on either of them? Well, now the yellow wires here, which are to do with this side here, yeah, so this side was the one that needs to be open when it's closed, and then contacts closed when it's open. And now if you have a look, can you see the yellow one is still open, but look at the white ones. They're now closed, and they weren't testing that before. So I think that is the fault fixed. There. Now we need to open it and see if the yellow ones are shorting. closed. I actually can't get it back open again. I'm not sure how I did that before because it was closed before. So rather than force it, that one was definitely testing differently now than it was before. So rather than force it, I'm going to just close it back up again and simply test it. Let's try and get this console reassembled now and then we can test it. Shouting at the screen for me to change the thermal paste on here. I'm not going to do that because I don't know how easy these are going to come off. I haven't got a huge amount of thermal paste, and for all I know, if this has never been tampered with, it might still be okay. Maybe the thermal paste is completely dried up and gone faulty, but if I have an overheating problem, then I can always take these off and do the thermal paste then. So I presume what I would have to do is just undo these 8 screws here, and then these 2 heat sinks would lift off. I could clean them and then put new thermal paste on. I think for the purpose of this video I'm not going to do that, but that would be the sort of the clever thing to do. That was really nice to put that together. Oh, I nearly forgot about this. No, I've done this wrong, haven't I? That should have gone on before. Oh, that's annoying. Oh, now I've got to take it apart again to deal with that. I wonder if I can squeeze it in here. Yes, I can. Excellent. Just going to get a wet wipe, give it a quick wipe over, and then we'll test it. Okay, I'm really happy with how that's come out. Not sure if it's working yet, but if you look at it now, look, it looks perfect. There's some discoloration here at the back. You can see it's gone yellowed. But apart from that, look how clean it is now. Right, let's connect it up and see what it does. Here we go. There we go. It's not flashing green anymore, is it? Yep, that's it. Just going to quickly check it with HDMI. Let's just see if the disc goes in. Is it going to come out or not? No, I might have, maybe when I put it back together. Oh no, look, it's flashing again. I wonder have I put that back together wrong? Because look, it's not flashing. It's just not coming out anymore. I bet you when I've put the mechanical side of it back together, it's not done correctly. Because look, it goes off now, while before it didn't, it kept on flashing. I wonder if there's a way I can do that without having to take it all apart again. Yeah, it's definitely not releasing. I think though, actually, do you know what? There's a hole here. I'm going to get a paper clip, put it in the hole here, and see if it releases it. Because once it releases it, maybe I can pull it out and clip it into place or something. The hole here should be able to release the tray, like mechanically release it. No. So I've obviously put it back together wrong. Thing is, I'm going to have trouble now because it's remember I couldn't even pull it out. I'm confident the fault's fixed. I've just put a new fault on it by not lining something up properly. Right, okay, I'm going to have to turn this off again. So well, let's strip it down again, and this time I'll pay more attention to how it goes back together. Oh, here we go, here we go. Right, I just had to slide, there was like a black thing at the back here to allow this tray to go down, you know, this disc thing to go down. Right, now let's see if it's doing something differently. Let's move that across here. There, see that there? So that brings it that way, and then push that in, that opens, that locks it, and then you put it this way to allow you to open it again. Right, well, I mean, that appears to be okay. It did make a clicking noise the first time I did it, so maybe it just needed to be located a bit better. Maybe what I'll do is I'll put it back together and I'll leave it open. Let me try that. This time I'm not going to put it back together properly. I'm just going to leave it all loose. And let's power it up. Let's come back in. I can see the disc there, laser thing moving up and down. Right, let's see if it checks now. It's probably not locating in this hole properly. There we go. Right. Yeah, that looks good. I think the first time I did it, it clicked when I got it out, so obviously something wasn't seated properly. But you can see the green light's not flashing anymore. Right, now I'm going to put it back together properly, and hopefully this time it will be working. Right, back together now. I'm going to try it on HDMI because that will be the obviously the preferred option. So let's see now if it's going to work. I don't know whether I have to change any settings or not to get it to work on HDMI. Let's turn it on. Yeah, there we go, and now we've got full screen as well. 720p, 60 Hz, so that's good. Right, let's eject. No, it's still having problems. Right, it's still having problems. I wonder whether that rubber band's gone weak. So 100% the problem was with... Well, I say 100%, it's still flashing now, isn't it? God, I thought this was going to be a really easy one. And now it's kind of becoming a bit awkward. I wonder whether the rubber band's stretched and it's not allowing this to come out anymore. Also, I'm not sure if this is the hole to eject anything because it doesn't do anything when I put it in there. Now, why did it work when I didn't have the cover on it and now it's not working? Alright, here we go. I had to put pressure on it downwards. strange. You see, you know, the green light's gone off now. So I don't know if this is something I've done or not, or whether this is part of the original fault. Also, now it doesn't want to come out either. No. Okay, it'll have to come apart again, and this time I'll have to have a better look of it, do more testing when it's all apart. It's just weird because it just seemed to work perfectly when the case wasn't on it, and now it's failing again. Apart again. Right, so I've got it out again. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to repeatedly press it to see what's happening, to see if it's a problem in here or is it something to do with this fouling something. Right, excellent. So it's definitely nothing to do with this fouling here. It's definitely internal. So I'm just going to turn this off. Okay, slightly confusing because it's just moving so freely. If you look here, so basically this has to drop down, and if I just move that there, that way around, you can just see how easily it drops. But when I've come across this before, I spent ages on it and it just turned out that this was just ever so slightly loose. So I'm thinking again that this must just be ever so slightly loose. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a look online, see how much they cost. But in the meantime, I'm going to pop this in a pan of boiling water for about, I think last time I did it was between 5 and 10 minutes. 8 minutes seems to ring a bell. And what that did is it just made it ever so slightly smaller, which then let it work. This was on a disk drive, an optical drive on a PC, but it's the same, very similar sort of thing, isn't it? So well, it is the same thing. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Right, so it's boiling up nicely. It's been about 6 minutes now. I'm just going to give it another couple and then call it a day. If this doesn't work, it's not a problem because I do already have a loads of belts from the Walkman series that I've been doing. So maybe I might be able to get one. I'm not sure if they're that small, but if so, I might even just put a brand new one in. Or, failing that, they're only £1.50 on eBay, so apart from the fact of waiting for the delivery, it's not exactly very expensive. So hopefully this will sort it out. It's come out now. Now I don't know whether it is actually smaller than it was before or not, but it's certainly a lot cleaner. And thinking about it, that could be half the problem. If it was really dusty, then it could cause a tiny bit of slippage. Remember, I can't see in here whether it's slipping or not, so maybe it was as simple as that. Actually, you know what I might do before I put that on there? I might just see if I have got a spare one in this pack here. In fact, you know what? I'm not even going to look because I can see that there's quite a big size difference between them, as in the thickness. So I don't want these to stretch. I'm going to stick with this, and then when it fails again, then I can just get one off eBay. Well, I'm going to go with that and see what happens. Well, I'm just going to quickly try it again now. Right, that appears to be okay this time. Just give it one more go. Yeah, happy with that. Right, I'm going to put it back together and hopefully this time it will all work. Right, okay, test time again. Yep, you can see the green light's now solid. It's not flashing anymore, only when it ejects. Excellent. Right, let's see if it's actually reading the discs. Yeah, it's coming up there as reading. Oh, here we go. Fantastic. FIFA 16. So that's it. Actually, FIFA 16 is not that old either, is it? Wow, I'm surprised they even made FIFA 16 for the Xbox 360. Oh well, okay, fair enough. Yeah, so I am completely happy with that. Let's just make sure we got sounds. Yeah, there we go. What a result. Do you know what? I'm really happy with that. So let me just quickly recap what happened because it was a bit confusing why I had to take it apart so many times. So basically 100% the initial fault was to do with the contacts on the switch, because when I first of all got it, that green light would flash constantly and the tray was always ejecting. So basically it was like the eject button was constantly on. Now I don't think it was to do with the actual push button, the micro switch down here. I think it was to do with the switches in the actual optical drive itself. And then when I put it back together, it wasn't working, it wasn't ejecting, and I thought it was because I put it together wrong, but it wasn't. It's because the little belt in there had stretched. So even if I changed the belt straight away, we still would have had a problem with the dusty, dirty switches here. So it was two faults with it, but what's nice is they were both very, very minor faults. So I really enjoyed this one, and I know I say that on all my trying to fix videos. The majority of them, apart from Andy Pandy and that Tronics, that Truckertronic thing, nearly said Tronics Fix there, the Truckertronic thing that I did, that was a nightmare as well, but I got there eventually. But this one here was just a nice straightforward one, and as well, I enjoyed cleaning it. And if you look at it now, I'm not going to lift it up now because I've just put a disc in it, but look how clean it all is. I mean, that looks absolutely immaculate. So the only other thing I could have done would be change the thermal paste, and I know I'm going to get criticised for that, but my worry is, let's say if that old thermal paste is welded on, well, to begin with, the old thermal paste might be fine, and if it's not, let's say this all dried up and welded on there, I know that these can suffer from the BGA chips, the same as the PlayStation 3. And if I try to take those heat sinks off and lift up that BGA chip just a tiny bit, then it's going to be a faulty Xbox 360. And right now, that wasn't the fault I was trying to fix. Yes, this might only last one day and then it might overheat, and I might do damage that if I was to change the thermal paste, that wouldn't have occurred. But saying that, this might last for years and years and years without any hassle, and hopefully before it fails it might start to overheat, in which case then I can change the thermal paste then, but right now it might not need it at all. So yeah, really happy with that. And although it was a very cheap item, the inside of it, I know it's an old item, but the inside of it still looks lovely. It looks like a lovely design, really put together nicely. Really, it's a joy to work on, so I'm really happy that I did this. I do have more Xbox 360s to do. I've got a feeling it's probably going to be similar to the PlayStation 3, where it turns out that it's probably either the CPU or the GPU which is faulty, which again I'm not really going to be able to do much about. But still, I will get round to doing them. But for this one, very, very, very happy. And bonus to get FIFA 16 for it as well, even though that game probably only cost about £1. So if you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe for more trying to fix videos. Take care, bye now.